During her routine morning rounds, a nurse entered the room of a patient who had been in a coma for over a decade. Luz Maria, affectionately known by the hospital staff as Sleeping Beauty, had lain motionless in her hospital bed for 15 years. It was a tragic and mysterious case that had captured the hearts of everyone at the renowned hospital in the capital region. But on this particular morning, something happened that would shake the very foundation of the hospital. The nurse, performing her usual checkup, was startled when the patient began to make strange, guttural sounds. The noises were faint but unsettling, a stark contrast to the years of absolute silence. Alarmed, the nurse immediately checked the monitors and examined the patient. As she pulled back the sheet to inspect further, her breath caught in her throat. What she saw was so shocking that she let out a scream that echoed through the sterile halls of the hospital. Panic overtook her, and she fled the room, her face pale and her hands trembling. Her reaction created a wave of commotion among the staff. Doctors, nurses, and other workers rushed toward the room, their faces etched with confusion and fear. Whispers of the event spread quickly, and soon, the entire hospital was gripped by the mystery unfolding in Luz Maria's room. A few hours later, law enforcement and forensic experts arrived at the scene. The case quickly escalated to one of the most astonishing medical phenomena ever encountered. Investigators cordoned off the area and began piecing together the details of Luz Maria's tragic story, which had begun years earlier. 15 years ago, Luz Maria had been found unconscious on a city sidewalk. She was just 6 years old, a delicate, beautiful child whose origins were unknown. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize her. Despite their efforts, Luz Maria slipped into a deep coma. Days turned into weeks, and the medical staff grew increasingly puzzled by the lack of any family or guardian coming forward to claim her. Nearly a month later, a humble family from a distant village arrived at the hospital, their faces etched with worry and heartbreak. The elderly couple, who identified themselves as Luz Maria's grandparents, explained that she had disappeared weeks earlier while visiting a nearby town. Their relief at finding her alive was short-lived as they saw the state she was in, motionless, her small body connected to machines that kept her alive. The doctors explained the severity of her condition and the high costs of her care. The elderly couple, already burdened by poverty, were devastated. They had no means to afford even a fraction of the medical expenses required to sustain her treatment. The news crushed their spirits, and they spent sleepless nights agonizing over the impossible choice before them. Eventually, with heavy hearts and tear-filled eyes, the couple made the most excruciating decision of their lives. They signed the forms to have their granddaughter disconnected from life support, knowing there was no way to save her. Luz Maria was their only child, and the decision left them broken. Yet, against all odds, Luz Maria was never disconnected. For reasons unknown to the staff at the time, the order to cease her treatment was halted. Some speculated that an anonymous benefactor had stepped in to cover her expenses, while others believed the hospital administration had quietly decided to continue her care. Whatever the reason, Luz Maria remained in her bed, suspended in time as the years passed. The mystery of Luz Maria grew with each passing year. Nurses and doctors cared for her diligently, her room becoming a somber symbol of resilience and unanswered questions. Over time, she became an almost mythical figure among the staff, nicknamed Sleeping Beauty for her ethereal stillness and the tragedy of her story. But now, in the present moment, the events of the morning had changed everything. As the investigators worked tirelessly to unravel the latest developments, rumors swirled among the hospital staff about what the nurse had seen. Theories ranged from miraculous recovery to something far more unsettling. By the end of the day, the hospital was abuzz with a mix of fear, curiosity, and hope. Whatever the truth was, it was clear that Luz Maria's story was far from over. What had begun as a tragedy over a decade ago now seemed poised to take a new extraordinary turn. one that would captivate the world and rewrite the boundaries of medical science and human endurance. The decision to let Luz Maria go devastated the hospital staff, as the young girl's angelic face had captured the hearts of everyone who met her. She had become more than just a patient. She was a symbol of innocence and resilience. Refusing to give up on her, the doctors and nurses pooled their resources, contributing money to cover her medical expenses. They hoped that one day, Luz Maria would wake up and reclaim the life she so tragically lost. As the years passed, Luz Maria, affectionately nicknamed Sleeping Beauty, grew into a stunning young woman, even though she remained in her coma. Her beauty was both mesmerizing and heart-wrenching, a vivid reminder of all the years she had spent confined to her bed. People spoke of her with admiration and sorrow, marveling at how someone so full of potential could be trapped in such a state, unable to experience the world that admired her so deeply. Among all the hospital staff, Andrea, one of the oldest nurses, formed the strongest bond with Luz Maria. Andrea saw herself as a second mother to the girl, spending countless hours by her bedside. She would talk to her, play her favorite music, and provide physical therapy, all in the steadfast hope that one day Luz Maria would open her eyes. Her dedication was unwavering, and she often told her colleagues, "I just know she can hear me. She's going to wake up someday." Luz Maria's biological parents, though deeply devoted to their daughter, were elderly and frail. They visited her whenever they could, but their own declining health limited how much they could do. Knowing this, Andrea took it upon herself to fill the gap, becoming the constant presence in Luz Maria's life that her parents could no longer be. One fateful day, while crossing the street on her way to the hospital, Andrea was struck by a vehicle. The accident left her bedridden for 3 agonizing months, unable to walk or return to her duties. During her recovery, Andrea's children insisted she move to another city to be closer to them and receive proper care. Though she was grateful for their support, Andrea's heart was heavy with worry for Luz Maria. She feared her absence would mean a lack of the dedicated care that Luz Maria had relied on for so long. The thought of Luz Maria deteriorating haunted her. Andrea's recovery was slow and arduous, but her determination to return to Luz Maria never wavered. She spent countless hours asking her children about the hospital, writing letters to her colleagues, and checking in as much as she could from afar. Despite her physical limitations, she remained Luz Maria's steadfast advocate. A full year after her accident, Andrea was finally strong enough to return to work. The day she stepped back into the hospital was bittersweet. The halls she had walked so many times before felt both familiar and distant, as though time had left its mark on everything. Her first stop was Luz Maria's room, her heart pounding with both excitement and trepidation. When Andrea entered the room, she saw that Luz Maria remained in her bed, as peaceful and beautiful as ever. A wave of relief washed over her as she noticed the meticulous care Luz Maria had received in her absence. Her colleagues had ensured that Luz Maria's therapy continued and that she remained comfortable and clean. It was clear they had honored Andrea's dedication, even in her absence. Tears welled in Andrea's eyes as she sat beside Luz Maria once again. She took the young woman's hand in hers and whispered, "I'm back now, my dear. I've missed you so much." For the first time in over a year, Andrea felt whole again, reunited with the girl she considered her own. The months following Andrea's return were marked by renewed hope. She resumed her daily routines with Luz Maria, determined to pick up right where she had left off. Though Luz Maria's condition remained unchanged, Andrea believed with all her heart that her presence made a difference. Andrea's accident had been a reminder of life's unpredictability and fragility. Yet it also underscored the power of love and dedication. For Andrea, caring for Luz Maria was more than a job. It was a calling, a promise she intended to keep for as long as she could. Through all the challenges and uncertainty, Andrea's bond with Luz Maria remained unshaken, a testament to the enduring strength of hope and compassion. On her first day back at work, Andrea was filled with excitement as she rushed to see Luz Maria, her beloved sleeping beauty. The moment she entered Luz Maria's room, Andrea immediately noticed something unusual. Luz Maria appeared the same as always, but her expression seemed subtly different, almost as though her face held a quiet urgency. Andrea's concern deepened when Luz Maria began emitting strange, soft moans that filled the room with an unsettling tension. Approaching her patient, Andrea noticed a peculiar lump in the middle of Luz Maria's body. Her hands trembled as she pulled back the sheet. What she saw made her scream uncontrollably. Luz Maria's abdomen was swollen, a large, unmistakable bump that could mean only one thing. Luz Maria, the comatose patient who had spent 15 years disconnected from the world, was pregnant and appeared to be on the verge of giving birth. Panicked, Andrea ran out of the room to find the doctors, her voice trembling as she shouted for help. Medical staff quickly arrived and assessed the situation, confirming that Luz Maria was indeed in labor. The revelation shocked everyone. How could this have happened to someone in a coma for so long? The situation was a mystery that defied explanation, leaving the staff stunned. Despite the circumstances, the medical team focused on ensuring a safe delivery. After a delicate cesarean section, a fragile but living baby girl was delivered. Though the infant was underweight and her health was delicate, the prognosis was optimistic. Her chances of survival were high. The miracle of the baby's birth temporarily eclipsed the shock, but questions about how this could have occurred lingered in the minds of everyone involved. Andrea, overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, knew the baby's existence pointed to a grave crime. Someone had exploited Luz Maria's vulnerability, and it was her responsibility to seek justice. Without hesitation, Andrea contacted the authorities, who immediately launched a thorough investigation. News of the incident spread rapidly, and the public was outraged. Luz Maria's story, once a tragic tale of resilience, had now become the center of a national scandal. As investigators worked to uncover the identity of the perpetrator, tragedy struck again. News arrived at the hospital that Luz Maria's parents, who had remained her only family, had passed away. The loss further complicated an already chaotic situation, leaving Luz Maria without a clear support system. Fearing the growing controversy and the potential legal consequences, the hospital administration made a shocking decision. They ordered that Luz Maria's life support be discontinued, arguing that her prognosis had not changed despite the birth of her child. The infant, now under Andrea's devoted care, was to be handed over to social services. When Andrea heard of the decision, she was devastated. Desperate to save both Luz Maria and the baby, she rushed to Luz Maria's room with the infant in her arms. Standing beside the bed, Andrea wept, pleading with Luz Maria to wake up. Her voice broke as she begged, "Please, Luz Maria, don't leave us. Your daughter needs you." As the medical team entered the room to carry out the disconnection, Andrea made a last heartfelt attempt. Gently, she placed the baby on Luz Maria's still body, hoping against hope that the bond between mother and child would spark something within her. The baby let out a soft cry, her tiny body pressing against Luz Maria's. To everyone's astonishment, Luz Maria stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, and for the first time in 15 years, she looked around. Slowly, one of her hands moved, resting gently on the baby. Gasps of disbelief filled the room as tears streamed down Andrea's face. Luz Maria had awakened. The joy of Luz Maria's miraculous awakening was tempered by the shocking reality she now faced. After 15 years of being disconnected from the world, she awoke not only to the news of her parents' passing, but also to the revelation that she was now a mother. The weight of this information was overwhelming. Luz Maria's mind struggled to process how someone could have violated her while she was most vulnerable, leaving her with a child she had no memory of conceiving. Despite the immense emotional turmoil, Luz Maria's maternal instincts began to emerge. Holding her daughter for the first time, she felt a connection that anchored her amidst the chaos. Andrea, who had been Luz Maria's constant advocate, promised to stand by her side, ensuring that she and her daughter would have the support they needed. The journey ahead for Luz Maria was daunting. She had to navigate the challenges of rebuilding her life, seeking justice for the crime committed against her, and embracing her new role as a mother. But for the first time in years, Luz Maria had a chance to reclaim her story, not as a victim, but as a survivor. As weeks passed, Luz Maria began to recover physically and emotionally, drawing strength from Andrea's unwavering care and the love of her newborn daughter, Esperanza. Overwhelmed by her new reality, she confessed, "I don't have a home, my parents are gone, and I don't even know how to care for a baby." Andrea, deeply moved, reassured her, "You are not alone. We'll get through this together." DNA tests later revealed that Esperanza's father was a prestigious doctor who had secretly abused Luz Maria during her coma. Outrage spread as the case gained public attention. With Andrea's relentless pursuit of justice and massive public support, the man was convicted and sentenced. His family provided Luz Maria and Esperanza with financial support and therapy, ensuring their future stability. With Andrea's help, Luz Maria rebuilt her life. Andrea welcomed Luz Maria and Esperanza into her home, where they found love, support, and a new family. Esperanza thrived, inheriting her mother's gentle spirit, while Luz Maria grew into a devoted mother, rediscovering hope and purpose. Together, they overcame unimaginable challenges, creating a life filled with resilience, joy, and love, a testament to the power of compassion and the strength to rise above adversity.